family justice. Back in 2018, a young woman was riding her motorcycle when she was struck by a hit-and-run driver on 101 in Marin County. Her family offered a reward for any information leading to an arrest. Now, as Itai Hodge shows us, 6 years later, everyone is finally getting some closure.
In the quiet confines of her kitchen in Fairfax, Connie Siegenthaler is preparing for a meeting 6 years in the making.
This is the one last detail of this whole ordeal.
She's about to come face to face with two strangers who were instrumental in identifying a man responsible for her daughter's death.
I'm excited to meet them. Finally, I've never met them yet.
Driver sped off after hitting a young woman on 101 southbound in Mill Valley.
In 2018, her 29-year-old daughter Marie was riding her motorcycle when she was struck by a driver who fled the scene. Lying on the road, she was then hit by a second car and killed. That driver stayed and waited for police.
They said that she had been hit by a Chevy Suburban. They figured that out the next day.
The Siegenthaler family offered a $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of the hit-and-run driver. The car was eventually found in a Petaluma auto repair shop owned by the driver's uncle after two different women turned him in. The driver, identified as Frank Barone Jr., was found guilty of 2 felonies and sentenced to prison.
You know, I'm trying to find it in my heart to forgive this guy because I feel like it's poisoning me. But it would be really great if we could get a sign.
Since then, Connie has been busy honoring Marie, a science illustrator, establishing a foundation that provides art supplies to struggling college students. Jason Dunn is the department chair of Fine Arts and Architecture at the College of Marin. He says the project, called Marie's Lending Library, has been nothing short of a godsend.
This is the lending library, Marie's Lending Library, and so this is always open.
Now, nearly 6 years after her daughter's death, Connie is finally handing out the reward to the 2 women who helped crack the case.
I feel like I'm just like dotting the last I and crossing the last T. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, good. And
I'm Lisa.
Lisa, come in.
As the women arrive, Connie gives them each a check of $7,500.
You truly deserve it. Thank you so much.
Had no idea until one day he called me up and said, I need to talk to you about something.
Sylvia Shagara, the uncle's former girlfriend, said staying silent just wasn't an option.
I decided to call a couple months later. I couldn't live with myself, having the information, and the family needed to know what had happened.
Yeah.
Lisa Marsh, whose friend was present when Barone and his uncle discussed the incident, said the moment she heard the information, she knew she had to come forward.
It took me a few hours, but I had a friend in the highway patrol and gave him a call and just said, I need to tell this.
That is actually a landscape she did.
For Connie, it was the closure she's been seeking all these years.
Frankly, this may be a little bit sort of less than Christian, but I hope Frank Barone sees this on TV.
Oh my gosh.
Rewarding good Samaritans who ensured that justice was served.
Barone was sentenced to 4 years and 8 months in prison, but he was released last year after serving a year and 7 months. To Oakland now, some business owners say it's nearly impossible to do business because of crime. Several Taco Bell locations in the city are now closing their dining rooms and switching to drive-through only. The fast food chain says the move is necessary to keep staff and customers safe. Our John Ramos looks into the problems prompting the change.
This Taco Bell on 35th Avenue in Oakland has been robbed 4 times since November. The owners of the franchise have decided that enough is enough. Plywood still covers the window from 3 weeks ago when robbers used a pickup truck and cable to steal a safe from the Taco Bell at 35th and MacArthur. Of the 4 robberies the store has endured in as many months, 2 of them occurred when the restaurant was open for business. Kimberly Garibe works at the Metro Wireless store across the street.
They just pull up out of nowhere, and it's not like it's only they're robbing the store, they rob everybody in there as well. So it's not as safe how it used to be. It's a lot of crime now.
With that in mind, the owner of the franchise, a company called Diversified Restaurant Group, has closed the dining rooms at all 4 of their Taco Bells in Oakland, including this one on a crime-ridden section of Hagenberger Road. That leaves a Taco Bell on Telegraph, owned by another company, as the only place people can eat indoors. And that restaurant has gone cashless to try to prevent robberies.
It's sad that it got to the point where they can't even allow people inside because they get robbed.
DRG wouldn't comment today, but Taco Bell Corporation issued a statement saying, quote, "The franchise owner and operator has informed us that they are consistently evaluating and working to ensure a safe environment by implementing procedures such as closing dining rooms and hiring security guards, and they have taken extra measures to meet with local law enforcement," end quote. Now, service is only provided through the drive-up window, which was a problem for a woman named Miss Joe, who doesn't own a car and had to ask a friend to drive her to get her lunch.
I don't think it's cool. It's
annoying, huh?
It's annoying, yeah.
So what do you feel about them closing the dining rooms and saying,
yes.
we're too afraid?
That's what they should be afraid, true. But I just feel bad for the patrons, you know what I'm saying.
But as annoying as it may be, most just see it as a sad reminder of how bad things have gotten in their town.
It breaks my heart.
Why?
Because I want somebody to protect the citizens.
You can't, enjoy your meal in the comfort of the place you bought your meal in. So it's like them closing it down due to, all the crime rates and everything. I don't know, honestly. It's just, what is this Oakland coming to? Everything is just getting worse. Things are closing down. It's just terrible.
It's not a new problem, but it is a problem that appears to be getting worse every day.
Well, at least for now, Taco Bell officials say there are no plans to shut down any of the restaurants completely. And they aren't the only chain stopping indoor dining in Oakland. Last year, Raising Cane's near the Oakland airport closed its dining room. In-N-Out has also announced it's closing completely due to crime. Their last day is March 24th. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, San Francisco Mayor London Breed losing some powerful allies in her fight for re-election. How the AAPI community is flexing its muscle in a highly competitive race. Plus,
I'm here in San Jose where Mayor Mahan started working on finding ways to move homeless people away from waterways like the Guadalupe River. More details coming up.
and he's an unsung pioneer of Silicon Valley. How his family is trying to preserve his memories and cement his legacy among the greats.
I'm a pilot for the California Army National Guard. I fly Blackhawks here in the state.
There is nothing that Jessica Birch can't do.
She is dedicated. She's super fun.
Jessica is remarkable.
I like the idea of being able to serve the Northern Californian people out doing search and rescues, helping out with CAL FIRE missions. And I also feel like I have a heart for service also when it comes to forecasting for our local area. I mean, getting people prepared for their day. That's a huge importance for me.
Wake up with a morning edition, weekdays on KPIX.
It's a cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area, but luckily as these showers start to taper off throughout this afternoon, we're just going to see that blanket of clouds slowly dissipate as we head into the evening hours tonight. And then suddenly we're talking about sunshine in the forecast for us tomorrow. It's going to be a dry, beautiful day for us tomorrow with a warming trend right around the corner. Wind gusts are going to get pretty breezy as we head into this afternoon, though, along our coast, so keep that in mind. About 30-mile-per-hour winds expected close to Bodega Bay, 20-mile-per-hour winds around dinner time off into the East Bay. Now, as we head into the next 7 days, we dry up a lot. We're going to see sunshine lasting into this weekend. Upper 70s expected for our inland areas as early as Monday.
Today is the last day for mail-in ballots to make it to election officials. Those ballots must be postmarked by March 5th. We're still keeping an eye on some tight races taking place, and those last-minute ballots could be the deciders for these primary elections. The San Francisco mayor's race, meanwhile, isn't until November, but there's already been a notable endorsement. A leader of the school board recall and prominent voice in the AAPI community has joined one of London Breed's challengers. As Wilson Walker explains, that's putting a focus on the city's significant Asian voter base.
Looking back over the last 7 mayoral campaigns, this city is traditionally hard on mayors. We expect them to solve problems within 2 years that have taken decades to solve.
As former chair of the city's Democratic Party, Mayor Young has watched a lot of politics in this city. She helped organize the recall of the district attorney. She has been a longtime supporter of Mayor London Breed, and that has not changed.
If the election were held today, I would definitely say the city's on the upswing, and we should not be changing course.
San Francisco desperately needs new leadership, new and accountable leadership, and the time is now.
Kit Lamb is the man behind the recall of the San Francisco School Board, and he is now throwing his support behind Daniel Lurie.
And Kit, you're going to play a critical role in helping us deliver a victory in November. So thank you, Kit.
For Lurie, it is a new ally, well known among the city's Asian community. And for the mayor, it's still more pressure to convey a sense that progress is being made.
The number of tents on our streets are down by 37% this past 6 months, at the lowest levels it's been since 2018.
In that respect, the mayor's race comes down to a very essential question for all voters. Are things getting better? Is it time for a change?
People are feeling better about the city. They're feeling safer. They're seeing more economic vitality.
We need new leadership. We need someone from the outside to fix this.
So alliances are starting to take shape on the heels of the city's primary, but the vote still a long ways off.
There's a lot of time between now and November. We have at least 8 months.
Things certainly can change with time. Think about it. 2 weeks ago, the mayor was answering questions about the sale of Macy's at Union Square. Last week, she was celebrating some big wins on election night. So given 8 months, who knows what can change? And we don't even know what this race is really going to look like, right? The filing deadline still a ways off. So the race in total not going to be fully set until June.
Now, according to the latest census data, more than a third of San Francisco residents are Asian. We have new numbers for the closely watched District 16 congressional race, and the battle for second place is still a tight one. We know former San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo will be heading to the general election. Around 700 votes separates the candidates vying for second place, though. County Supervisor Joe Simidian leading against Assemblymember Evan Lowe. There are still about 57,000 ballots still left to be processed, though. And Proposition 1 still has a very small lead. It has around 40,000 more yes votes than no votes. That's out of more than 5 million ballots counted. The $6.3 billion bond measure would overhaul the state's mental health and drug treatment systems. To the South Bay, solving homelessness has been a big part of San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan's promise to the city. Mahan is highlighting the urgency of the issue, especially along the city's waterways. He cites a pending fine from the Regional Water Quality Control Board for failure to comply with the Clean Water Act. That could amount to a $60,000 a day by June of 2025. Now, at a town hall last night, he pushed for the creation of safe sleeping sites and expanding shelters to avoid those fines. The mayor is trying to rally community support and get the city council to decide on a solution moving forward. Our Jose Martinez has an update on the situation on the ground.
I'm here in San Jose, where Mayor Mahan started working on finding ways to move homeless people away from waterways like the Guadalupe River in order to avoid fines from the water board. Susie has been living in this tent by the Guadalupe River in San Jose for almost 2 years.
This is all I have.
Okay.
My bed, arching top, and my kitchen stuff.
A week ago, she found out the city wants to move her and hundreds of others who live along the city's waterways. The question is where and when.
I have a caseworker. His name is Ethan from Home First. He's trying to get me in a place, like tiny homes or something. So it's all a waiting list right now.
It's hard to imagine a worse place to live. It can get cold, wet, muddy, not to mention there's been deadly flooding during storms.
For your safety, the city of San Jose has issued a mandatory evacuation order.
If you go down to the river, you have rats, raccoons, all that out there.
And it isn't just an eyesore. The encampments create waste that flows directly from the creeks to the ocean. And that might end up costing the city in more ways than one. The state is telling the city it needs to do more to clean up the waterways or face steep fines. Tens of thousands of dollars a day started in mid-2025. Mayor Mahan's plan? Creating more safe sleeping sites, expanding shelters, and establishing no camping zones along 25 miles of waterways. The mayor also says he wants the county to add inpatient treatment beds for mental health and addiction, as well as bigger state and federal government investment before it's too late. But in the meantime, Susie is still out here without a clear path to follow.
It takes time to fix it, but the thing is, they don't have, like, affordable apartments or something like that.
And ultimately, Susie tells me she is willing to work with the city if she can find a place to live as soon as possible.
Still ahead, paving the way for Black excellence in tech.
That's why a lot of people call him the godfather of Silicon Valley.
The untold story of Roy Clay Sr. And a reminder, you can stream CBS News Bay Area wherever, whenever. Catch all of our live newscasts plus news and weather updates throughout the day. Find us on the free CBS News app or on Pluto TV.
It is a cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area with daytime highs sitting in the upper 50s and lower 60s. Today is almost a replica of yesterday's forecast with just a splash of showers heading into the afternoon hours today at times. We're going to see those on and off showers lingering into this afternoon, but luckily by tonight we start to clear up. We get rid of that cloud layer and we're left with sunnier skies starting off for our forecast tomorrow. But let's dive straight into our first alert Doppler and taking a look at Futurecast actually. This is going to show that perfect picture of sunnier skies around the corner after we head into the evening hours tonight. There'll be some on and off showers for us throughout this afternoon. It clears up nicely for us tomorrow. And then we're also going to experience a daytime high trend warming up a lot as we head into the next 7 days. We'll hit the 70s by this weekend throughout our inland areas, and it will get gustier as we head into the next couple days. Luckily today, wind speeds are maxing off just around 25 to 30 miles per hour along the coast. It'll die down into the early morning hours tomorrow.
History tends to remember the big names, and the same is true of Silicon Valley. We remember Jobs and Wozniak, Hewlett and Packard, but there are countless other coders, engineers, and visionary makers who are equally deserving of a page in the Valley's history. One of those names is Roy Clay Sr. He led the team that created the software for HP's first personal computer. He suffered a number of health setbacks in recent years that have robbed him of his ability to communicate. But he has 3 devoted sons who have worked to preserve his memories and cement his legacy. Devin Feely has their story.
His mindset was don't let anything stop you from accomplishing your goals.
Christopher Clay is the third and youngest of Roy's 3 sons. And with his father's health failing a few years ago, he spearheaded the efforts to preserve his father's memories, document his legacy, as one of the few African Americans to be present at the dawn of Silicon Valley.
The creation of this computer division, both the hardware side of it and the software side of it that he ran, was truly transformational for HP at that time.
Clay's sons say what their father managed to accomplish at Hewlett Packard at a time when society rarely recognized the beauty of blackness or the brilliance of black minds, makes his story that much more remarkable. Something to be shared, something to inspire others by example.
My father's mother always told him, from the very beginning, you will encounter racism your entire life. However, do not let that be a reason why you do not succeed.
Roy Clay Sr. was born in 1929 in the tiny town of Kenlock, Missouri. He was bright and ambitious, and at a time when college was more rarity than the rule, he earned a degree in mathematics from St. Louis University. Jobs at McDonnell Aircraft Corporation and Lawrence Livermore Labs followed, before eventually landing at HP.
And that's why a lot of people call him the godfather of Silicon Valley.
Marvin Jackson is Clay's biographer and helped write his memoir, Unstoppable, which chronicles his role leading the team in 1966 that developed the software for HP's first computer, the HP 2116A.
This is the thing. There weren't many people doing this back then, so there weren't many white guys doing it either.
Roy's sons say it wasn't enough for their father simply to be in the proverbial room where it happens. He also wanted to make sure that the doors were left open for other people who looked like him.
The pathways that he opened, he wanted to make sure they were left open for, for others to follow. And that's one of the, driving reasons why we created the book.
Clay would eventually leave HP, found his own company, and bring his sons into the fold. But they say that their father was equally, if not more, proud of the family that he and his wife Virginia built at the Workday's Inn.
The biggest priority for him was always family. He turned down some really good professional opportunities and job offers, and he turned them down because he wanted to make sure that he had time to spend raising all of us.
Roy Clay Sr. knew that nothing would come easy in this life. If he wanted a brighter future, he would have to grab it. If he wanted the wider world to recognize his brilliance, it would have to be dazzling and damn near undeniable. And if he wanted his story to be told alongside the other greats of Silicon Valley, he'd likely need to write it himself.
Roy's sons are working to adapt his memoir in a second book for school-aged children. Well, coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area.
This is just a way to make the world a better place.
Two people in the East Bay weren't willing to be benched when it comes to helping others, how they're improving lives one seat at a time. Plus, when it comes to garbage, not everything goes into the trash bin. How a program in San Francisco is benefiting the environment and the community. I'm Elizabeth Cook, and this is The Minute. In the East Bay, a 2-year-old child is safe after a car was stolen with a toddler in the back seat. It happened in San Pablo yesterday afternoon. The vehicle ended up being found in Richmond 20 minutes after it was stolen. One person was detained. In Dublin, a women's prison with a documented history of sexual abuse was raided by the feds. More than a dozen agents seized computers and documents from FCI Dublin. A source told the Associated Press the warden was taken away, along with an associate warden and a captain. Jewish students at UC Berkeley are calling on the school to protect them. They held a rally yesterday. Organizers say it was in response to a violent pro-Palestinian protest at an event that was supposed to feature an Israeli speaker. The university is investigating the incident as a hate crime. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 p.m. on Pix Plus.
Throughout this afternoon, we're left with just some lingering showers and a blanket of clouds in the forecast for us. It's a beautiful, cool day for us here in the Bay Area. Those showers are slowly going to start tapering off into the overnight hours tonight. We could ditch the umbrella, and then suddenly we're left with drier conditions to head into our forecast tomorrow, and that's going to last as we wrap up this week. Now, the best part about the forecast is we're actually going to start seeing sunnier skies right around the corner as high pressure moves in, but the winds are going to get gustier day by day, so keep that in mind. This morning, heading into this afternoon alone, we're already seeing wind gusts anywhere up to around 25 to 30 miles per hour along our coastline, with some breezy conditions felt in our inland areas too. Starting tomorrow, we're going to see sunnier skies and dry conditions last into this weekend and early next week, creating a very nice dry break for us and a great opportunity to get out there and get some fresh air this weekend. Maybe you want to watch the Blue Angels fly over Solano. If you are planning on heading out there, Just keep in mind, we're expecting 70s, so you're probably going to want some sunshine, or excuse me, you're probably going to want to have some sunscreen ready to go with all that sunshine. It is so awesome to say that because today alone, I mean, gosh, it is cloudy, it is cool out there, and we're seeing 50s and 60s for our daytime highs. So a big change in the forecast right around the corner as we head all the way down into Livermore and Fremont today. We've been seeing some scattered showers in the forecast earlier this morning. That, like I said, that'll start tapering off into this afternoon, and we're going to be left with sunnier skies as early as tomorrow. Sunshine lasting this weekend. For our inland forecast, we're actually hitting the upper 70s as early as Monday. And for our friends along the bay, let me show you what it's going to look like. We're going to be flirting with the upper 60s and lower 70s heading into early next week, too. It's going to be a cool and cloudy one for us just as we head into our Sunday forecast with daytime highs dipping into the mid-60s to kick off mid next week.
On any given day, more than 100,000 people take AC transit buses across 3 Bay Area counties the agency serves, but not all of them have a place to sit while they wait. In come the bench guys. They've been doing some rogue carpentry, lending a hand by helping others take a seat. Our Itai Hod followed the guys along their most recent drop-off in Berkeley.
When Daryl Owens and Mingwei Samuel noticed there were no benches at many bus stops across the East Bay, instead of sitting on their hands, they decided to take a stand.
It's easy to feel sort of like helpless in the world with all the stuff that's going on, and this is just a way to make the world a better place.
Over the last 3 months, they've become known simply as the bench guys, pulling up to bus stops and installing their own handcrafted creations.
We weren't looking for any fame or glory or anything like that. Our goal is just to give people a place to sit.
It all started when their neighbor, who had just gotten out of surgery, was forced to sit on the curb because there was no bench at the bus stop. That's when Daryl and Mingwei took matters into their own hands, learning how to build a bench on YouTube and even making sure they're compliant with the city's disability regulations. As they drive around the East Bay, they make a mental note of benchless bus stops. Today, it's the intersection of Sacramento and Virginia Streets, right by the North Berkeley BART station.
While we fundamentally love our bus bench project, it's a great project. The goal is to get the cities to actually care about their transit riders and put these benches out.
And while it may seem like an exercise in futility, they're already getting a sitting ovation from both city and transit officials. In fact, their project has already pushed Berkeley to swap one of their benches for an official city bench.
Have they essentially lit a fire under AC Transit? Would you say that?
I would say a fire has been lit.
Jean Walsh is an AC Transit board member. She says this quirky campaign is forcing officials to find a solution to this deep-seated issue.
So many of our problems are hard to solve, they're complex, they're costly, they're really difficult. Putting benches at bus stops isn't one of them. So I'm really grateful for this action because it has sparked a conversation.
At the end of the day, Daryl and Mingwei head home, but not before taking a load off.
I love just like sitting on it and just take a little break and then, you know, go about your day after.
Putting officials in the hot seat while paving the way for more benches across the bay.
Well, so far, the guys have installed a total of 23 benches across the East Bay. A battle over a state law requiring background checks to buy ammo could eventually reach the U.S. Supreme Court. Supporters say the checks are saving lives. Critics call it regulation overkill. Kenny Choi went to a shooting range in the North Bay and explains what's on the line for both sides.
Bradley Stolfe supports common sense gun regulation.
Every firearm should require a background check, and it should be thorough.
But a state law implemented in 2019 requiring in-person background checks for ammunition isn't one of them.
If you ask me if it was something that made shooting difficult, yes, it was.
Stolfe is using a World War II-era M1 carbine for target practice.
The imposition of the needing a background check and the vendors not wanting to send ammunition to California, it became problematic for me to find this ammunition for this rifle with ease.
The Cloverdale resident has been buying gunpowder and primers to hand-load cartridges for many of his rifles since the tighter ammo restrictions were put in place.
That incurred a substantial cost in all of the materials that I needed to do it.
Many hunters and gun owners say the restrictions violate their Second Amendment right to bear arms. A federal judge recently agreed, overturning the law, but days later, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in a 2-to-1 vote, put a hold on that ruling.
Do you believe that it prevents gun violence?
Absolutely. We have seen that California is a far safer place today than it was 30 years ago. Background checks work for firearms. Background checks work for ammunition.
Steve Lindley has a law enforcement background and now works for Brady United against gun violence.
We're not trying to prevent anybody from purchasing a firearm or purchasing ammunition. What we're trying to do is keeping firearms and ammunition out of the hands of people are prohibited or that are a danger to our communities.
There's a small number of people out there that shouldn't have access to ammunition, and that's more of a problem than is being addressed by just making it more difficult to get the ammunition.
The stay issued by the Court of Appeals means background checks for ammunition can once again proceed for now.
Background checks, safe storage, those type of things all compound together make a significant difference.
But Stolfi believes rather than making it more difficult to purchase ammunition, banning high-capacity magazines would have more of an impact in saving lives.
I don't see any need for any magazine to be able to hold more than 10. That's going to get me in a lot of trouble with guys I know, but that's what I think.
Stolfi is aiming to find that balance between restrictions and gun rights enshrined in the Constitution.
General Rob Bonta has argued that advances in technology, including ghost guns, require a new approach to enforcing gun laws. The CDC says thousands of children had ended up in the ER after taking melatonin. New research published in JAMA Pediatrics shows more than 18% of children ages 5 to 9 are being given melatonin by their parents to help them go to sleep. More than 19% of adolescents take it as well.
It is a hormone, so whenever you're talking about giving kids hormones, you want to be especially careful, especially in kids who are prepubescent, so not yet adolescents. And then secondly, melatonin is not FDA regulated, which means that the rigorous clinical trials that we need for drugs that are FDA approved just haven't been done for melatonin. I would really be cautious about using it in somebody who has not gone through puberty yet, and use it even in teens on a very occasional basis.
The American Academy of Pediatrics urges parents to discuss sleep issues with their child's pediatrician before trying melatonin. Back here at home, San Francisco is boasting new success with a program designed to help people get rid of their unused pharmaceuticals. And as Max Darrow explains, it could benefit the community as well as the environment.
One container at a time, Dr. Swati Patel does her spring cleaning of expired and unwanted medications, placing each one in this safe disposal bin at Zuckerberg SF General Hospital.
The importance is twofold.
By putting prescription pills, OTC meds, and more here rather than the garbage or the toilet,
the bin allows us to ensure that the medications are disposed of correctly, both for the environment and for public safety.
This is one of 62 bins across San Francisco. There's a look at another one at Kaiser Mission Bay. According to the city, new numbers show they've collected and safely disposed of more than 140,000 pounds of meds during the 5-year period of 2017 to 2022.
That's a lot of drugs that are being kept out of San Francisco Bay and all of our local creeks and the environment.
Got it.
Sejal Choksi-Chu, the executive director of San Francisco Baykeeper, says when people flush pills, they end up going into the wastewater treatment plants.
Wastewater treatment plants in San Francisco are not equipped to remove those kinds of drugs and chemicals out of our waste stream.
And eventually into the bay and waterways.
When you've got drugs that are in the food chain, you have larger fish eating smaller fish, and then that works its way up the food chain. So you end up getting exposure to these chemicals at all the different levels in the food chain.
Patel says more folks are filling up the bins now than they did in previous years. When they started the program in 2017, they had a once monthly pickup at her hospital. They're now at a pickup every 2 weeks.
Oftentimes, it does get full before the 2-week pickup, and so we may even have to call to have it picked up.
She hopes others will do a spring cleaning of their medicine cabinets as she does, helping the community by disposing of their meds in a people and eco-friendly way.
The city also has 164 sites where people can get mail-back envelopes for their unwanted pills. And there are also drug take-back events at various points throughout the year. Up next, when it comes to the A's, there are a few things that are certain these days. How a local business owner is displaying his love for the team through all the ups and downs.
It's a cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area, but luckily as these showers start to taper off throughout this afternoon, we're just going to see that blanket of clouds slowly dissipate as we head into the evening hours tonight. And then suddenly we're talking about sunshine in the forecast for us tomorrow. It's going to be a dry, beautiful day for us tomorrow with a warming trend right around the corner. Wind gusts are going to get pretty breezy as we head into this afternoon, though, along our coast, so keep that in mind. About 30-mile-per-hour winds expected close to Bodega Bay, 20-mile-per-hour winds around dinner time off into the East Bay. Now, as we head into the next 7 days, we dry up a lot. We're going to see sunshine lasting into this weekend. Upper 70s expected for our inland areas as early as Monday.
Opening day is just a few weeks away, and even though the Oakland A's have been on a relocation roller coaster lately, there are some die-hard fans that refuse to let that dampen their spirits. These are the newly released renderings for the A's proposed ballpark in Vegas, which includes a view of the Sin City skyline. Their plan to move from Oakland to Las Vegas was approved by Major League Baseball just last year. But this new park isn't expected to be ready for the A's until 2028. The A's have a lease at the Coliseum for 1 more year, and after that, their future is uncertain. But amid all the ups and downs, some longtime fans are standing strong behind the A's. Our Nicole Zalumas caught up with someone who loves the team so much, he started a business around them.
Since the days of the Bash Bros, Brian Johansson has loved the A's. So when a 2020 New York Times article bashed the Oakland Coliseum, Brian took the negative things they had to say and turned them into a positive.
They compare the Coliseum to a dive bar when all the other stadiums were like cocktail lounges. So I saw a line in there that said baseball's last dive bar, and we decided to make a banner of that. Little did we know that very graphic we used for that was going to go viral.
Not only did it go viral, but it became profitable. Banners, pins, calendars, all inspired by the Coliseum. A new business was born, the Last Dive Bar. They even organized fan experiences, like last month's Fans Fest.
It was magical. You know, there was estimated 15 to 20K that was there. You had past players, you had all the Oakland teams that were there, over 60 vendors, community members.
Some said it was the best fan fest they've ever been to, and sadly, it could be their last. After 2024, the A's don't have a place to call home. Will these fans travel to Sacramento, Vegas, Salt Lake City, or even support the team at the Coliseum for the next 4 years, knowing a new Vegas ballpark will be ready 2028? For loyal fans, this process is heartbreaking.
It's horrible. It's like living every day in a nightmare where it's like, you know, the person you love most doesn't love you back, but you're forced to live with them.
Despite the pain, Brian's message, keep hope. He thinks a lot can still fail in Vegas, and he wants fans to continue to highlight the deficiencies of the ownership group in hopes that it will keep the A's rooted in Oakland at the Coliseum where they belong.
The Last Dive Bar's next event is an opening day boycott. They plan to gather in the parking lot at the Coliseum, but they will not go into the game. They say the point is to hit John Fisher where it hurts, his ability to generate revenue. Now, at a time when so many headlines are about restaurants closing, Denny's is celebrating its grand reopening in Campbell. The diner welcomed its first 100 customers yesterday with a free collectible mug. They'll also receive free coffee for a month. This Denny's is on South Bascom Avenue, just down the street from the old location. The original restaurant shut down in 2021 after it was unable to renew its lease. Coming up, ever want to get behind the wheel at a racetrack? Well, our very own Vern Glenn went for a spin in Sonoma in this.
Let that engine eat!
You got to stick around for this story because it's not your typical race car. See how he went from sports director to speed demon in his Scion.
It is a cool and cloudy day for us here in the Bay Area with daytime highs sitting in the upper 50s and lower 60s. Today is almost a replica of yesterday's forecast with just a splash of showers heading into the afternoon hours today at times. We're going to see those on and off showers lingering into this afternoon, but luckily by tonight we start to clear up. We get rid of that cloud layer and we're left with sunnier skies starting off for our forecast tomorrow. But let's dive straight into our first alert Doppler and taking a look at Futurecast actually. This is going to show that perfect picture of sunnier skies around the corner after we head into the evening hours tonight. There'll be some on and off showers for us throughout this afternoon. It clears up nicely for us tomorrow. And then we're also going to experience a daytime high trend warming up a lot as we head into the next 7 days. We'll hit the 70s by this weekend throughout our inland areas, and it will get gustier as we head into the next couple days. Luckily today, wind speeds are maxing off just around 25 to 30 miles per hour along the coast. It'll die down into the early morning hours tomorrow.
To the North Bay now, where over 100 racing fans got to test out the newly repaved track at the Sonoma Raceway. It was a part of a good cause to raise money for Speedway children's charities. And it wasn't just race cars on the track. Our Vern Glenn took his Scion out for a spin.
Start your engines! Woo!
This is Sonoma on a race day. But it had a much different sound and look on Monday.
All right, Jeff, I don't want to intimidate anybody, but I did bring my fast car.
Oh, you did?
Check that baby out, huh?
You got that hot rod out here?
Oh, man, it's faster than it looks.
Let that engine eat!
What is the disparity between the White Knight, the Scion, and a cup car?
Huge.
Race hadn't even started, and I'm getting a sponsor.
We got Toyota Save Mart 350 for you. All right, you are officially good to go.
God, we're on the track! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Any moment now, we're gonna go green! Oh man, listen to that engine purr. Here we go! Whoa! Whoa, man! Grip in the road!
Let's open this thing up. Let's see how fast we can go!
Got a couple of high-performance cars in front of me. Get out of the way! Was that a Jag in front of me? I feel like I know what I'm doing. I really do. 12 turns, 2.5 miles, 160-foot elevation. Down the far side of the track. Here we go. We're going to open up the chute. You hear that sound? The sound of the screeching of the tires. Down the back stretch. Oh, this was cool. This was really cool. The end of the race. You've just won. Is he going to climb out of the window and get your flag?
Okay.
It's got to be more graceful than that.
Your car was a little better than you today, Vern. I'm just kidding with you. I'm just kidding with you. You were getting with the program out there.
I could watch that story over and over again. So good. All right, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Elizabeth Cook. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and a look at your top stories.